What if I told you that the biggest barrier between you and the life you want isn't your bank account, your job, or even the economy? It's the way you think about yourself. Here's the truth. Millions of people across America wake up every day grinding, working two jobs, chasing overtime, yet still feeling stuck. They think the answer is always more hours, more hustle, more sacrifice. But the reality is, you can't outwork a mindset that keeps you small. Think about it. Why do some people take the same $15 an hour job and eventually build businesses, while others stay stuck in survival mode for decades? It's not luck. It's not even talent. It's perspective. It's whether you see yourself as someone who only survives or someone capable of creating value that grows beyond you. And here's the kicker. The way you see yourself doesn't just shape how much money you make. It shapes the opportunities you attract, the relationships you build, and the future you create. So, before you chase another dollar, ask yourself, do I see myself as limited or limitless? Because once you change the way you think, you don't just change your income, you change your entire life. Marcus had always believed that life was about survival. Growing up in a small town in the Midwest, he'd watched his parents struggle paycheck to paycheck, constantly juggling bills, groceries, and car repairs. He never saw anyone around him getting ahead. Not really. And when he moved to the city at 24, he thought maybe, just maybe, he could finally break free from the cycle. But reality didn't match his dreams. He landed a job at a small diner in New York City, working the graveyard shift. It wasn't glamorous, and it definitely wasn't the American dream he had imagined. The pay was low, the customers often rude, and the city felt like a machine that chewed people up and spat them out. He often clocked out exhausted, thinking, "This is it. This is as far as I'll go." Months passed, and Marcus became invisible to the world. He served meals, took tips, and went home. But deep down, he felt something was missing. It wasn't just the paycheck, it was the feeling of insignificance. He was doing all the taking, all the surviving, but giving nothing beyond what was required. One slow afternoon, the diner's owner, Mr. Reynolds, noticed Marcus looking discouraged while wiping down tables. He leaned on the counter and said, "Marcus, people don't just pay for food. They pay for the experience you give them. Smile, remember names, make them feel seen. That's how you make people want to come back." Marcus was skeptical. "But I'm just the guy serving coffee," he muttered. Mr. Reynolds smiled knowingly. "Exactly. Most people see themselves as just a role. But the truth, your role doesn't define your value. How you show up does." Those words hit Marcus like a lightning bolt. He had always measured success by what he earned, never by the value he added. That night, he thought long and hard about what he could offer that went beyond the menu. The next day, Marcus started small. He greeted every customer warmly. He remembered a couple's anniversary from last week. He recommended a local bakery to a student struggling to find the right gift. People noticed. Tips were better, smiles were exchanged, and the diner felt different, not just for the customers, but for him. But Marcus didn't stop there. He realized that value could scale. He started helping coworkers with their shifts, suggesting small improvements for the menu, and even created a mini loyalty list of regular customers. Slowly, he saw something extraordinary. His mindset was shaping reality. Customers returned more often. They recommended the diner to friends. His earnings rose, but more importantly, he felt alive in a way money alone had never provided. 6 months later, Marcus had saved enough to start a small side venture, a weekend catering service for local events. He leveraged the relationships he'd built at the diner, offering something unique: personalized service, attention to detail, and a touch of Marcus's charm. His first few gigs barely covered ingredients, but word spread. People began trusting him, paying premium rates, and referring him to others. Marcus was still learning, still struggling, but he had discovered a fundamental truth. The more value you give, the more opportunities come back to you. And those opportunities weren't just financial, they were experiences, connections, and growth he never imagined possible. By the second year, Marcus had transitioned fully into entrepreneurship. He rented a small commercial kitchen, hired 2 employees, and began catering corporate events, weddings, and parties across the city. He could hardly believe it. The same young man who once felt invisible behind the diner counter was now leading a team, negotiating contracts, and growing a brand that reflected his values. But the most important transformation wasn't the money. It was Marcus's mindset. He no longer saw himself as just a worker. He saw himself as a creator, a provider of value, a person capable of shaping his own life. He remembered Mr. Reynolds' words often: "Your role doesn't define your value, how you show up does." Marcus's story reveals a universal law, one many Americans overlook in their pursuit of wealth. Success is rarely about taking, it's about giving. Giving your time, attention, energy, and value. People reward authenticity. Opportunities multiply when you focus on creating worth, not just earning. Think about your own life for a moment. How often do you measure yourself only by your paycheck and not by the value you're building? How often do you see yourself as just an employee when you could be so much more? How many opportunities have passed you by because you didn't believe you had something to offer? Marcus's transformation wasn't about luck, timing, or even talent. It was about mindset. The moment he decided to stop surviving and start creating, everything shifted. Marcus's journey reminds us of a simple truth. Your life is a reflection of your mindset. It's not the job title, the paycheck, or the city you live in that determines your future. It's the way you see yourself and the value you bring to the world. Ask yourself right now, are you showing up as someone who just survives or as someone who creates? Are you taking what the world gives you, or are you actively giving value, building trust, and opening doors for yourself and others? It starts small. It could be as simple as helping a colleague, remembering a client's name, sharing your knowledge, or going the extra mile in your work. These are the seeds. And just like any seed, when nurtured with consistency and care, they grow into opportunities, growth, and ultimately freedom. No dream is too big. No circumstance too challenging. The only limits are the ones you place on yourself. So today, decide to see yourself differently. Decide to give value first. Decide to act, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's small, because growth, real, boundless growth, doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It begins the moment you take responsibility for your mindset, show up with intention, and invest in your own potential. Your life is waiting. The opportunities are waiting, and the first step, it's yours to take. Start today. Give value, change your mindset, and watch how your world begins to change in ways you never imagined. If this story inspired you, let's keep the momentum going. Hit that like button so more people can discover it. Drop a comment below. What mindset shift are you committing to starting today? I'd love to hear your thoughts and your journey. And if you want more stories and lessons that connect financial wisdom with personal growth, make sure you subscribe and join our Boundless Roots community. Because remember, boundless growth starts here.